Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, and welcome to my Halo Infinite audio logs guide, where I show all 104 audio logs, including Banished, UNSC, and Spartan audio logs. I'll show you all the ones that are missable within the story. I'll explain each and every single one you can find in the open world. Before we get right into it, I do want to explain a couple of things. First of all, audio logs are shared between playthroughs, so you will keep progress if you do start a new playthrough in terms of your audio logs. This means that if you have missed one, all you'll need to do is start a new game and grab only the ones you missed, not all of them again. Additionally, I will have things like timestamps in the YouTube description down below, but it's not as easy as figuring out which one you're missing and then finding a timestamp for it, as a lot of the audio logs just unlock in order based on how you're doing things. So you're basically going to have to go to an area and figure out which ones you're missing from the video by checking on map locations and visiting them. I will point out through commentary which ones are missable, and I will put an asterisk on screen and in the YouTube description so you can make sure you don't miss them. However, for your information, the missable ones are on Warship, Gbraakon, Foundations, Nexus, Repository, and House of Reckoning. Also, a friendly reminder, this video will not include skulls. I do have a separate skull guide if you're interested, to make sure you don't have to play the game twice. So let's just get started with the first mission of the game, Warship Gbraakon. And for this audio log, it will unlock automatically as you start the mission. There are a total of 2 UNSC or Spartan audio logs and 1 Banished, and for one of those 2 Spartan/UNSC ones, it unlocks automatically under recovered files when you start the mission. So that one's really easy and you can't miss it. But then later on, we will have our first out of a few missable audio logs, and they happen once we're riding up the elevator and we open up into this room in front of us. It will be directly in front of you, so it's really hard to miss, but I'm going to include it in my video as I'm including all of them. Also, the game does separate UNSC logs and Spartan logs. However, in the menus on screen, in all of the maps and stuff, they are grouped together, so I won't be differentiating between them. You will then enter through a door and end up in this room with a bunch of enemies and some controls in front of you. If you grapple to the right hand side next to the door that we'll be exiting from, you can find your first of many Banished audio logs. I think there are 28 in the game. We now move on to the second mission of the game, called Foundations. This is after you can find the cowbell skull, and you'll open up a light bridge and begin to move forward, and the second recovered file should unlock automatically as you play through this mission. You can't really miss it, but it is within a mission. And then a little bit later on, you will reach this area where there is this large beam of light directly above you. There is a small little turret with some enemies that will be defending this door. This is another audio log that is very difficult to miss, as it is right in front of you on the left of the door. They also make a pretty loud sound when you are near them. You will then reach this room where a power cell is missing from a terminal you need to activate, and you'll be led down this path to find that power cell. And here you can find another audio log sitting to the left of it, again blinking pretty loudly. You can also use a tactical scan at any time to unveil these through the world. They will glow orange, and if you do miss one, don't be afraid to restart the whole mission instead of continuing forward and having to do another playthrough. We have now reached the open world, but this collectible is technically under Outpost Tremonius. However, you can get it during the open world sections of the game, so you can't miss it. Before boarding the ship, or after you've boarded the ship, doesn't really matter. If you jump down below, just to your left-hand side while facing the edge, you can find the Banished audio log just underneath yourself. We are now going to focus on what I'm calling Open World Area 1, which has 3 Banished audio logs and 12 UNSC/Spartan audio logs. This is located near the bottom left corner of the map, and you can see the area collectibles while in the tactical map. The first one is really easy, located near Fob Golf, basically on the platform you spawn on. The next one is also located near Fob Golf, however, it wouldn't show up if you hovered over Fob Golf. You wouldn't know it's nearby, but if you're standing on that fob where the vehicles spawn, look forward and to your right, feel free to do a tactical scan to find this right here. These are going to be the kind of hard ones, the ones that aren't necessarily listed on the map. Now we're going to be moving kind of northward from this location towards the direction we would be doing these missions, and we are at Boxer Squad, and from Boxer Squad I made a mark on Cayman Squad. While standing at Boxer Squad looking towards Cayman Squad, if you make a right-hand turn, you can find a path that leads along the edge of these rocks. Use your tactical scan to see this audio log through the walls, and you'll find a small campsite. Because the map doesn't rotate in 3D and because there is no built-in compass, I'm going to be using some of these waypoints to make it as easy as possible. Next up, we're going to move to Fob Foxtrot. While standing there next to the location where we spawn vehicles, look just off to your right and pick up this audio log. For the next collectible, it's easiest to spawn at Fob Foxtrot. Once you're spawned here, look at the tower. Move directly in a straight line to the tower until there is a small river in front of you, very close to Fob Foxtrot. Fall into that little river that dries up and turn left. Follow it upstream to find our audio log. We then move on towards the tower, and if you hover over the tower, you'll notice there are Spartan cores and armor lockers, but there's also a Banished audio log and a UNSC/Spartan audio log. So as soon as we enter from that direction on the map, you should be able to find a Banished audio log in a small hut on your right-hand side. Your tactical scan will be your friend here. Next up, the tower is turned on, and I have used the grav lift to get inside. For the vast majority of these collectibles, I would have taken care of the enemies, opened up any locked doors, or completed any objectives nearby. That's why, you know, you'll never really see enemies, and everything will always be a clear path. But I'm now inside that tower, and I've made my way up the first set of stairs, and if I do a tactical scan, I should be able to find a UNSC/Spartan audio log sitting near the middle of the tower. This is during a mission, but you can also grab this during the open world. Now, assuming that up is north on the TAC map, I am now southwest of the tower, and here there is a armory locker. And nearby, if you're standing, there's these two rocks. You can see the tower through the rocks, and there is a cliff's edge. On that cliff's edge, if you just follow it along on the kind of hexagons, you should be able to scan and easily find a UNSC/Spartan audio log. I have now moved to Ransom Keep, and if you hover over that, you'll see there are two Banished and two Spartan/UNSC audio logs. All of these kind of purple bases or outposts that you liberate will have the 2 and 2 combo, so they'll all have 4. There are 7 of these outposts, which means you can have 28 of the audio logs that are found in or around outposts. Now for the Ransom Keep, I like to use that Scorpion tank as a reference point. From that Scorpion tank, if you turn around and head straight, you will find one of the Banished audio logs. Group of these kind of pillars. And by turning, moving towards this building, you'll have the objective where you have to go up and open the door to the next area, and you can find another Banished audio log. Now, you'll kind of learn this pattern as you play, but the Banished audio logs will always be found within the outpost, and then the UNSC/Spartan ones are always found kind of on the outskirts. So I use that tank as a reference point again. Looking at that tank, if you make a 90-degree turn to your left, you'll find this kind of canyon, and we're going to head down this canyon all the way to the far end, and at the far end, we will be able to find one more audio log to make 3 out of 4 for this outpost. After we do grab this, though, what we're going to want to do is look up and to the right, and we want to get on top of this cliff or this ridge nearby. And then once on top, you want to start heading back towards the outpost, staying on the edge. And as you go here, you will see that there was a Spartan / Marine who was trying to set up a little, reconnaissance point up in the mountains next to this fallen down tree. And they didn't make it, I guess, or they just left behind the audio log. But you'll want to make sure you grab it. And that is Ransom Keep done for now in terms of audio logs. Now, an important note to make is that you can grab these at any point during the game, even after you've completed the story, and for many collectibles like this one, it's a lot easier to do if you've unlocked the Wasp by having 2,600 Valor. You can spawn it at any fob. If you do want to make this journey on foot, that's a-okay, but if you go to this exact location on the map I just showed you, there is a large spire, and then if you look down from that spire, you should be able to see and spot a audio log visually, or you can scan for it nearby. But again, you might want to fly here with a jacked Banshee. Then near the very southern edge of the map, you can find Starlight Squad. This is a squad that you can rescue, and obviously I've taken care of all of the rescuing here. If you kind of just stand right near the middle and then look back towards like the cliffside, not far from there, you'll find a sleeping bag with a audio log. Again, use that tactical scan to make it as fast as possible and pinpoint the exact location. Last but not least, here on the very southern edge of the map, there is an armor locker. I'm slightly to the left of it. And while walking towards it, you're not going to make it all the way to that armor locker if you start to the left of it. But up on some of these kind of hexagon patterns, you can find another audio log. While you're going for these, by the way, you should be grabbing things like Spartan cores and armory lockers. I'm not showing them in this video because they'll automatically show up on your map as you liberate outposts, so it really isn't all that useful. The next part of the video is devoted to what I'm calling Open World Area 2 near the northwestern part of the map. This has 10 Banished audio logs and 26 UNSC / Spartan audio logs. It is a very big area. Again, you can cross-reference your total count by looking in the bottom left corner while on the TAC map. The first one we can find is a very easy and obvious one found on Fob Echo. Once you liberate it, just find it. For the next one, I'm going to use Fob Echo as the reference location. I'm standing at the vehicle spawner, and that will make me automatically face to the east. If I look basically 45 degrees to my left, or like at a diagonal to my left, I can go forward and find that there is a small road. I can cross that road. There are like 3 trees right here, and I'm going to use my tactical scanner to pinpoint this UNSC audio log. Now, the next few audio logs are found in the outpost called Redoubt of Sundering. Again, 2 Banished and 2 UNSC / Spartan. I'm going to show you exactly where I am on the map. There is a large gate, which I've opened up because I've already completed it. But before going in, on the outside, follow the wall, and you'll see this small kind of rock structure with some trees on it. And on that ledge, you can find another UNSC / Spartan audio log. And then we can start heading into the base. So I'm going to basically go back to where we just were. Again, we're doing the Redoubt of Sundering. We're standing outside of it to the left of it, near the huge large gate that leads in. I've taken care of all of the enemies again. But if you go inside this gate, which might be blocked, you might have to open it yourself, but you'll do that as you clear it out. Walk up the hill right away to your right-hand side, and you can find it in the first and closest building at the top of the hill. It is a Banished audio log. And from there, what we can do is we can basically turn around and continue kind of heading up the hill a little bit. If you do this mission or this outpost on foot, you should be able to find this one pretty easily, as it is right next to one of our objectives. But in this back building, I think you have to come here to press a button. You can find another Banished audio log. And from this location, we're going to continue. Again, this is the Redoubt of Sundering. From this Banished audio log, if you go outside from where we came, turn right, you'll find this small little ramp. Head up the ramp, and then you should notice a cave to your right-hand side. Go into this cave, and at the end of the cave, you'll find another UNSC audio log, which will have the Redoubt of Sundering complete. Now this next one is really out of the way, but it's directly west of Fob Echo. You might need a Wasp to get here, I'm not entirely sure. There's a nearby propaganda tower, but on this little slim piece of land, as you walk downhill and follow the path, you can find an audio log pretty much on the path. Just keep tactical scanning until you find it. It's about halfway down this kind of island lengthwise. From there, we're now going to move slightly north towards the Forge of Teash, but not into it. At this intersection, kind of before we get there, there is a small cliff's edge. And I'm now sitting on the cliff's edge, and you can see that base far away in front of me. And on the cliff's edge, you can find a UNSC audio log. You saw exactly where I was on the TAC map, so hopefully you can use that for reference. Now this next one is just to the west of that. If you follow that cliff to the west, you'll eventually reach this kind of like waterfall area where there's a small break in the cliffs, and you can find this audio log at the base of this small waterfall. This one might also be a little bit easier if you do have that Wasp to just fly there, but you can also walk here and grapple up pretty easily. From that waterfall, I've continued following the water upstream to the southwest, and I found myself near an armory locker on a bridge. And I'm actually going to go downstream towards the waterfall. And as I do that, I'm going to mount up on the little rocks on the left-hand side. There are a couple of trees here that will pass. And then there is a small little UNSC, I don't know, base or outpost, whatever you want to call this, where you can find another audio log. The next 4 audio logs are found within the outpost called Forge of Teash. As always, we have 2 Banished and 2 UNSC/Spartan. I am inside the base. I have located this structure with the kind of large gun on it. Again, I've taken care of everyone. I've opened all the doors, so you might need to do that. But if you go inside, you should find a ramp. At the foot of this ramp, you can find a Banished audio log, which I already had. At the top of the ramp, you can find a Spartan core. But if we now head back outside and look on the kind of edge, you can see that there's a structure built into the kind of wall on the outer edge of the base. We're going to head into this kind of garage, so to say. And at the end of this first area, we can find a Banished audio log. We can now turn around and begin walking out of this kind of garage, so to speak. We're going to turn to the right as soon as we exit, and we're going to grapple up onto this outer brim that protects the base, and we're going to follow this edge for a little bit here until we go past this fallen down tree. And we'll go through some kind of like a little canyon here. And on the right-hand side, there is a very sneaky cave. Sorry. Inside that cave, you might need to crouch on in to get through. You can find a little UNSC sleeping bag with some other stuff and pick that up. And then I'm going to show you on the map where I am, just so that you can, you know, mark the same thing. But if you mark slightly north and to the east next to the metal structure, that's the direction we're going to head. So we're going to head out of the cave and to the left, and then we're going to follow the cliff and go up the hill to the left, and then we're going to use our tactical scan in order to find this one most quickly. But it's kind of located just as it opens up here on top of one of these hexagonal platforms. We then move northeast to Fob Charlie. Fob Charlie, if you need help with this audio log, you're in for a lot of struggling because it's just sitting right there, right next to you as soon as you capture it. Then what we're going to do is I am basically east of Fob Charlie if you follow the path, and around this bend there is a little cliff. So I'm standing on top of that cliff, and you can see Fob Charlie off in the distance. And on this cliff, around the same elevation as Fob Charlie, not at the very top of the cliff, but kind of halfway up, you can find an audio log. We then move towards the excavation site. Slightly north of that, you will find a road that intersects into like a T. And at that intersection, there should be a destroyed or downed truck. And it's basically sitting right next to that truck. So use your scan. You'll find it very quickly at this intersection and pick it up. We are now inside of the excavation site, and this will look a little bit different if you're doing this during the mission or after the mission. But basically, there's this large laser. Sorry for the small spoilers. You're going to use this laser to progress the story. If you've already used the laser and you're mopping up your collectibles afterwards, you'll have to enter through the front. And if you enter through the front, you should notice a Banished audio log directly in front of you. There's also a UNSC audio log here. If we go to the one of the wings here, you can tell in the video which wing it is, you can find a UNSC audio log here. However, if you are doing this mission or this area through the story, you will enter from the other side through a natural door in the mission. For the next one, we're just going to go straight to Fob Alpha. Again, if you need help with the ones that are at the Fobs, then you're really going to need help later on in the video. Spawn at the Fob pretty much right in front of you. You can't miss it. It's making a loud ass noise as well. We then move kind of north of the excavation site towards the Armory of Reckoning. This is another outpost which I have conveniently taken care of. You'll see exactly where on the map I spawned, but there is a building within this base. You will take a grav lift to get into this building and open the doors the first time you come through, and you should find a Banished audio log directly in front of you after you take that grav lift, or if you just come back and mop it up. Now from here, we can also find another audio log. As always, there are 4, but if we kind of head up the cliff or up the hill naturally, we'll have to shoot a fusion core to open a door, and behind that door, you can find a Banished audio log, so make sure you pick that up as well. Not too hard at all. Now close to here, we can also find a UNSC audio log. So what we'll do is we'll turn around and exit this small little area. We'll turn to the right and follow along with the cliff. And as you follow along, you'll find this small little area that's nestled away between some rocks, and you can find an audio log in here. Now, the next one is also inside of this Armory of Reckoning, but I've decided to zoom out of the map so you can see exactly where I am. I'm in the northwest corner, and this is kind of the most northwest building in the base. And for this audio log, it is a UNSC one, and you can find it behind the base in the northwest corner of the outpost. At this point, we move further north, and we are not far from Outpost Tremonius, which we haven't been to in a while. And you'll see this kind of rock formation with the middle kind of etched out of it. And this is from a warship crash, not far from the cannons. And about halfway through, exactly where you saw me on the map, you can find a downed ship. Inside of that ship, you find the audio log. Continuing near that same area near Outpost Tremonius, you can find this one just slightly southeast, not far from this large crater. You'll notice this structure as you approach it from Outpost Tremonius, and in front of it, you'll notice that obviously there was some sort of battle here. There's a small kind of drop pod, and if you crouch inside, you can find another audio log. Now we begin moving towards Fob Bravo, but we're not all the way there. Just kind of to the north of it, you can find this large cliff, and I'm all the way basically near the very top. You can see Fob Bravo off in the distance here, And if you are on this highest peak of this cliff nearby, you can find another audio log. Anyone keeping count how many times I've said those two words in this video? I haven't. The next one is super easy. It's located at Fob Bravo. If you spawn there, you should hear it dinging in your headset or through your speakers. So just pick it up. It's kind of behind you over your shoulder to your right. From there, we can continue our kind of journey towards the southeast, towards the Horn of Abolition. This is another outpost, and with another outpost comes another 4 audio logs. I showed you exactly where on the TAC map I am entering from, but this is a gate. I've opened that gate, and if I enter and hit up the first building on my right, I can find a Banished audio log just inside of the closest set of doors. From here, I can exit out the same door within that outpost and head kind of up the hill towards the other building in the area. If I start heading behind that building, you can now enter from the back and find another audio log in here. If this door is locked, you may need to find an alternate route by going underneath. Now we need the 2 UNSC/Spartan audio logs near this base, so we're going to exit out the door we came in to this one, and we're going to hug the building to exit to the outside of the base. And here we can find a small group of trees next to a path, and here we can find another audio log. So make sure you pick this one up, and for the next one I'll just show you where I am on the map. Now this next one does count under the Horn of Abolition, but it is a little bit further. I'm basically up on the hilltop to the southeast, and I'll show you exactly where the base is down there. And those trees all the way down there is where I just picked up the other audio log. And up on the mountain, if you follow the cliff's edge and use your tactical scanner as you're working your way up, you'll find an outpost or a little UNSC sleeping bag. And here we'll find another audio log. Now for this next one, I'm using Thunder Squad as a reference point as to the location we'll be going. You'll see that Thunder Squad is basically inside of this cave, and there's a path leading to that cave. Just down the path from where Thunder Squad is, you will find a downed pelican, and inside of that downed pelican, you guessed it, you know what's in there. While you know what's in there, you should drop a like on the video because I said so and I asked nicely. Thank you. For the next collectible, I am at the Foxhound squad location. You can take a Wasp up here or just walk up here. It's a lot faster with a flying vehicle though. After you save them and do all that fun stuff inside of the base, it's a pretty small base, but you can find an audio log. Last but not least, for this open world area 2, I am at Fob Delta, although it's kind of disconnected from the rest of the area through the way the missions are laid out. But once you're at Fob Delta, obviously you're going to find one audio log just right next to it. Last but not least, we are to the east of Fob Delta, and there is the Spire nearby, and there's also a Spartan core nearby. And if you mark that Spartan core, it's a decent location as it's right in front of me. But basically, if you're staring at the Spartan core, right next to it, there should be a blown up Razorback. And here we can find an audio log in order to finish off Open World Area 2. This next small section of the map is what I'm calling Open World Area 3. There are only 3 Banished audio logs and 5 UNSC/Spartan audio logs, and this is the area where the Pelican Down mission takes place. However, don't worry, you can come back here through the open world even after you complete the story without having to worry about missing any of these. Now, the first one we're going to go for is basically near the middle. I showed you exactly where I was in the area. And from here, you'll notice that there is a large ship. We are at the back of it. And if you go to the back left of it, you can find a very well hidden audio log sitting on some pipes kind of inside. If you are doing this during the Pelican Down mission, you can also grab the Gunrunner achievement. Keep that in mind. But we're going to basically now start heading up this ship kind of further towards the middle of the map. And as we do that, we can start scanning a bunch. And if we drop down and to the right, we can reach the kind of ground floor, and here inside of one of the cargo hulls, we can find another audio log. Now, from that last location, we're still kind of near that middle water area. If we continue forward and look across the water, we can see what was, I guess, like the front of the ship, and it got split in half. I'm not exactly sure what piece is what piece, but you'll find that there is like an outpost or like a little watchtower. If you hop up on this watchtower right in the middle of the water, you should be able to just kind of grapple onto this dock, through a door, through a second door, and then turn to your left, finding it wedged between some walls, very well hidden. Now, you can do these turrets in any order, but for the purposes of this video, let's do the easternmost one first, and I am right near the edge of the hexagon cliff nearby, and I'm not getting too close to the tower, but if you're standing pretty far back, you can find this small little building, and on your left, while looking at the tower, you can go inside and find a Banished audio log. For this next one, I am in a wasp, so you might want to ignore exactly where on the map I'm physically standing, but between the westernmost and northernmost gun batteries, there's a road, and alongside that road, there's a cliff. This is basically the highest point of this little Pelican Down island. And if you fly there, because it's easier with a wasp, or you can grapple up the side of the cliff, you can find a UNSC audio log sitting right here. We've now moved towards the kind of northernmost gun battery, but I am at the foot of the elevator that leads up to it. So I'm like at the ground floor of that gun battery. Don't take the elevator. Instead, there's a building at the bottom of the elevator on the left-hand side. And if you go inside, you can find your Banished audio log. We are now at the easternmost gun battery, and there are a couple of things to grab here, but I am basically standing underneath the gun battery itself with the cliff directly in front of me. If I go down, follow the road to my right-hand side, there's a small building that is on the road that leads to this gun battery. Inside that building, find a Banished audio log. Now we're back at that same location I was on the map. We are at that eastern gun battery. We're standing pretty much underneath it, looking at the cliff in front of us. If you look down and to the left, you can find a small little cave, and inside of that cave, there's a Spartan core, so grab that while you're here. But behind that, there is a crashed Pelican, it seems, and inside of that Pelican, you can find the last collectible for now, and we'll move on. Next up, we have Open World Area 4 near the bottom right-hand corner of the map. There are 8 Banished audio logs and 25 UNSC/Spartan audio logs. Note, there are missable audio logs during the mission Nexus, which takes place during this open world area. If you're wondering, I will show them last. But we'll start off in this area at Fob Lima. This is, through natural progression of the game, the first place you'd come, and because it is a fob, it does have a collectible. Now, we are going to, again, be at Fob Lima, and we're going to use this as a reference point, standing directly where the vehicles spawn. We are going to look 90 degrees to our right, and then basically head in a straight line. Feel free to use your tactical scan in order to pinpoint the log a little bit more easily, but you should be able to find it very close by. We then move north towards Fob November, but just before Fob November, there is a lake, and on the other side of that lake, there is a tiny little island. And on that island, which doesn't actually show up on the map, unfortunately, you can find a UNSC audio log. Just make sure you don't overpower grapple yourself like I just did there. We are then naturally at Fob November itself, and with every fob, there is an audio log. So you'll just spawn here. It's going to be like behind your right shoulder from where you can spawn the vehicles. Pick it up. Now, while you're in this area, you'll be doing a mission called The Sequence, and during the sequence, you'll visit all of the beacons. Now, you don't have to pick up these banished audio logs during the mission. You can pick them up at any point, as these beacons will open up and let you inside at any point. But if you grab this beacon, which is the furthest most east beacon, underneath you can find a banished audio log before you interact with the terminal to grab it. We then move pretty far east towards this large structure that kind of spans across the entire map. It's directly in front of me here. And as you approach it, there will be a Spartan core kind of directly in front of you, but we're going to actually ignore that for now. And instead, we're going to drop down to the right-hand side. There's a little hole here, but if we're careful, we can drop down on a lower ledge and find one of the most well-hidden audio logs in the entire game. Hope you didn't miss that one. Now for this next one, I am in a Wasp. I am not far from the previous audio log, but I am east of the Riven Gate Outpost. And the reason I'm in a Wasp is because you can see the gate directly in front of me, which is a good reference point so you know where I am. But on this little cliff to the left of the gate, before you hit the gate, there was clearly a UNSC Marine who was doing a little bit of recon because there's a sniper, and you can find the audio log. This does count as a Riven Gate collectible, by the way. Now we're going to do the other 3 Riven Gate collectibles, including the 2 more banished audio logs and the 1 more UNSC audio log. But we're now inside of Riven Gate. I showed you on the TAC map exactly where I am. But there is a building right here, and you'll have to open it up by going into the tower, pressing the button to open the doors. And there's usually a Banshee here the first time you do this. But in the back, you will find a banished audio log. This one's really hard to miss if you're actually doing the gate itself. But then from here, we can actually exit out the gate we came in, and there is a man cannon that will shoot you across the gap and all the way to the other side where there is another building. And inside of this building, we can find our second out of 2 banished audio logs in the Riven Gate Outpost. So just walk forward through that middle door and find the audio log at the end, which I accidentally picked up already. But then if we turn around and head back on out, do not take the man cannon. Instead, drop down and to your left, and you'll see a small bridge that you can take on to the other side. And behind that bridge on the opposite end, behind this watchtower, you can grapple up here, and you can find a UNSC audio log chilling on the cliff's edge near a tree. Use that tactical scan and don't be afraid to find it through that. Now I'm in a Wasp for this next collectible, but basically this is found where the Black Eye Skull is located, which is inside of the waterfall. There's a cave you can grapple up into. But if you actually follow the waterfall to the lake source, I'm not really sure how this lake works, as there's a waterfall, but there's no other entrances to the lake, so it's some kind of futuristic technology. But near this lake up top the waterfall, you can find another audio log. And then what we can do is we can move towards the beacon nearby, which is kind of to the southeast of Fob Kilo. Again, you would have been at this beacon for the main mission, The Sequence, so it's very likely you already picked this banished audio log up, but just in case you didn't, you can come and grab it. You can also see on the beacon whether you already have it or not, so don't even bother coming here if it does say 1 out of 1. Now, halfway between the beacon and Fob Kilo, if you follow along the path here, there's a path, you'll notice that there is a small little like cut in the rocks on the map. And in this little, fissure in the rocks, there's a small little cave with a yellow light inside, the usual stuff, sleeping bags, and an audio log. Then we can move on to Fob Kilo itself. Fob Kilo is a fob, and like all the other fobs, there is an available audio log here. So grab the fob and grab the audio log. Now for this next one, I would highly recommend having a Wasp, but it's located directly to the east of the beacon. There is a platform here where you can fly up to, and on top, you can probably grapple up here, by the way, too, if you want, but you might have to be pretty determined. But to the east of the beacon, on top of this rectangular platform, you can hop on top and find the audio log. Next up, we have the Annex Ridge Outpost. As with all outposts, I think this might be our last one. I'm not really sure. There are 4 audio logs here, and I am basically at the elevator that leads up to this outpost on the west side. And we can grab all 4 of these quite quickly. So from that elevator location, go up and to the left, first building here, you can find a Banished audio log inside. You may have to get into this building by opening a door or something, so yeah. Otherwise, we can next find the UNSC audio log nearby, head out the door that is kind of right behind the audio log, and directly in front of you, just on the outskirts of the base, you should find these pillars and columns standing up with a tree kind of halfway up. There's a little light as well. But if you use your tactical scan, you should be able to find that quite easily sitting halfway up these pillars. From here, what we can do is we can jump down into the center of this outpost. You'll see these kind of ring formations, and we'll actually have to go through this area in order to make progress through this outpost. But if you head inside, go underneath, through the door, you'll have to go up this grav lift to continue with the mission. But instead of going up the grav lift, directly behind the grav lift, you can find, you guessed it, a Banished audio log. So make sure you pick that up as well. And then what we can do is we can head up the grav lift to get access to this building. I think there's a switch we need to press to open a door. But right next to where we landed from the grav lift, there should be a door. Exit directly out this close door, look up and to the left a little bit, and you'll find some of those hexagonal pillars again. If you grapple up halfway up, you can find another UNSC audio log here. Next up, we're at Fob Juliet, and do you know what you can find at Fob Juliet? Exactly what you think you'll find, an audio log just over to your right-hand side. For this next one, we are using Fob Juliet as our reference point. I am sitting at it, and I just spawned a Wasp from the vehicle spawn location. And I marked a small cliff just kind of off in front of me and slightly to my left across the nearby road. I'm going to fly up to this cliff. It's not a large cliff, but it's definitely a cliff. And right near the middle of it, you can find an audio log with a tactical scan, easily found with a Wasp, but you can also just run there pretty much in a straight line. We're still near Fob Juliet here, and we're slightly to the east, a little bit to the north. There is a little bit of a plateau here, a little bit above the Spartan core, and here you'll be able to find a small body of water. It's kind of a lake, kind of a swamp. But in this swamp, you can find your audio log. Now, very close by the last location, if we do follow the road northwest of Fob Juliet, you should come to a hilltop. On that hilltop, you can find a downed pelican, and near that downed pelican, or actually on it or in it, you can find an audio log. For this next one, we're still pretty close to Fob Juliet. We're slightly east of it. There is a Spartan core here that I have marked, and I am in a Wasp, but the Spartan core is kind of inside of a cave here. But to the left of the cave entrance, there is a waterfall. And next to that waterfall, there is an audio log found on some rocks. Now from Fob Juliet, I've kind of went north towards the beacon, and here you can find an artifact and a Spartan core. I'm going to mark the Spartan core here, but if you look inside of where that Spartan core is, it's basically in this cliff hole. So go inside of that cliff hole, use a wasp to get here quickly, and basically just drop down inside, and at the very far end of this cliff, you can find your audio log. Obviously, grab your Spartan core while you're here. Now, next up, we can find a Banished audio log, of course, inside of that northern beacon, which is very close by to the Pelican Down area of the map. So if you didn't grab it while you were doing the sequence mission, or if you still haven't done the sequence mission, make sure you grab this Banished audio log. Now, just to the east of that beacon, you can find the skull here for Thunderstorm. I'm using that as a point of reference, but I'm in a wasp. So to my right, you see the beacon, and then to the east of it, you see this huge kind of ridge. You can mountain climb this ridge on foot, but I would highly recommend you fly there with a Banshee or a Wasp, and pretty much at the very most highest point on this ridge, you can grab the UNSC audio log. You can also jump down from this ridge to the Thunderstorm skull if you want. Next up, Fob Hotel. It's a fob, so you know exactly where we're going with this. There is an audio log located here. Hey, did I mention you should like the videos so you can see more videos like this in the future? From Fob Hotel, we are going to move north towards the Ordo Mall high-value target. About halfway between the two, you should be able to find a UNSC audio log near the downed Pelican on the right of the waterbed. We then move to the beacon located near the southwest corner of this area. It pretty much touches the other open world area we did earlier. You will come to this beacon as part of the mission, the sequence, but if for some reason you didn't pick up the Banished audio log your first time here, you can always mop it back up in the open world. In this next clip, I am in a Wasp, but just to the east of the beacon we just did, you can find this kind of small island. It's very, very tall, but we're actually not going to go to the top of it. Instead, we're actually going to stay near the same altitude as the beacon we just came from. I'll show it off right here. But if you fly towards this small ledge, I don't think you can actually grapple to it. But if you fly here, you can pick up yet another audio log. Now, the next two audio logs are very unique. They are missable. They're in the mission Nexus, but in terms of tracking, they are tracked as a part of Open World 4. You can see where it is on the map right here. Now, for the first one, you will unlock it naturally through progression of the mission once you reach the room with the 3 power cell slots. Then what you can do is go forward to the power cell across the button, go up the ramp and to the left to find this very tricky audio log. Make sure you grab it so you don't have to replay the entire game on another save. Now, all of our remaining audio logs are missable, so the next level after Nexus is Command Spire. There is a skull, but no audio logs. Then we have Repository, and Repository does have 2 audio logs. The first one is unlocked automatically when you reach this room and interact with the terminal. Cortana will talk about Atriox, and after you watch this cutscene, you will unlock the recovered file number 4 of 4. You should have all the recovered files now, and you can take out some enemies that spawn into this room, and from that terminal you can go left or right. We are going to go to the left. This is pretty important as you can easily miss it if you don't go to the left. Both of the paths do end up at the same location, but I recommend going left. Go left, take care of all of the enemies, pass through the door, and as you pass through this hallway right here, you can find the audio log in the middle of the room. Warning, warning, this one's very missable. Don't finish the mission until you have it. I unlocked my achievement. I'm not sure when you will unlock yours, as I didn't do this in the same order you're watching this video. After Repository is the mission The Road. No collectibles on that, but after The Road, there is the House of Reckoning. The first of 3 audio logs in the House of Reckoning mission can be found in the first training room. As you descend into the training room to the right, you can find a warthog or a rocket hog, and across from this, you can find the audio log. After you complete the basic training room and the advanced training room, you'll reach this room where you have to go inside of that building to do the final boss battle. Before entering, make sure you pick up this Banished audio log on the ground. You can restart the mission if you end up too far though. Then we have the final boss battle, which has already taken place. You notice that the pilot is inside of that chamber. We're not going to release him. Instead, we're going to go to the back of the room. We're going to pick up our final Banished audio log, hopefully wrapping it all up. Please drop a like on the video, but that's it. That's all 104 audio logs in Halo Infinite, grouped by mission and by area. I hope you enjoyed the video and it was useful. Please share the video with a friend and consider subscribing. I hope you enjoyed, and a super special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. Peace.